Pleasant morning, Doc and classmates. I am Neri, and I'll be discussing the first part of ethical and social issues in information system, covering the subtopics. First is understanding ethical and social issues related to system, where we will be able to examine the connection between the ethical, social, and political issues that information system raise. Second is the ethics in information society, where we will be able to identify the primary moral aspects of an information society and specific conduct standards that can be utilized to make moral judgments. So, according to Grace Canoli, technology is a double-edged sword. Yes, without a doubt, technology has improved civilization overall. Like millions of lives have been saved thanks to the technological developments in health and the introduction of the internet, which has connected the world in a way that was before inconceivable. Given the scope of these improvements, it is simple to forget the detrimental effects that technology can have on our daily lives, and how important it is to recognize the various issues that technology has brought forth, like the unequal distribution, just like what Dr. Mermel has provided earlier, uh, regarding the unequal distribution of the internet in the socio-economic levels, like when we were in the pandemic period, the educational system of the country has been forced to adopt to the virtual classes and various setups different from what we have, like the normal going to school, when we are all aware that there are families who do not have the capacity to avail internet and devices to keep up with the new school's requirements. And second, its detrimental effects on the mental health of those exposed to social media that can be used as a platform for criticism and bullying. Even a single comment to a picture you share in Facebook uh, or wherever in the internet can affect your mental state. So, what is ethics? Ethics refers to the principles of right and wrong that individuals acting as free moral agents use to make choice to guide their behaviors. So basically, ethics is concerned with our moral judgment, like how we judge and deal if one thing is just or unjust. And information system raise new ethical questions for both individuals and societies because they create opportunities for intense social change and thus threaten existing distribution of power, money, rights, and obligation. Wherein information system, on the other hand, refers to any organized system for the collection, organization, storage, and communication of information. So it raises ethical question pertaining how we distribute this information and use it that would threaten the distribution of power, even the rights and obligation in our society. So ethical issues in an information system have been given new urgency by the rise of the internet and electronic commerce. Internet and digital firm technologies make it easier than ever to assemble, integrate, and distribute information, unleashing new concerns about the appropriate use of customer information, the protection of their personal privacy, and the intellectual property. Internet nowadays is becoming storage of information that you can search to whenever and wherever you need it. And a diary of most people to document what happened with the special days in their lives, or even bloggers use it to document their daily routine that can be looked back to a couple years from now to reminisce all the happenings they had. Such information being available in the internet and easily accessible pose a threat, of course, that those logs, videos can be used by other persons for illegal and inappropriate matters such as identity theft. Since the internet also holds information, little things that you have done and posted in the internet years ago can resurface and can be used against you or might be interpreted differently now. So a model for thinking about ethical, social, and political issues. Ethical, social, and political issues are closely linked. The ethical dilemma you may face as a manager of information systems typically is reflected in social and political debate. Those three are linked in a way that if the ethical issue uh, in the individual level becomes out of hand, problems will then accumulate and will be part of the social issues, and then society has to solve it with its current rules and laws imposed by them. So here's the relationship. In the slide, you can see the relationship between the three levels. Like if you throw something powerful in the center, or that will cause a repulse. If it's massive enough, it can cause disruption. Having a new information technology as that a massive disruption, it could create ripples affecting the individual, then the society, and the political aspect of our society. So it is important to actually discuss the five moral dimension, which are the uh, information, rights and obligation, property rights and obligation, system quality, quality of life, and accountability and control. So here, the first one is the information rights and obligation. Um, it refers to what information rights do individuals in our organization possess with respect to themselves, what can they protect, what obligations do individual and organization have concerning this information. It was just like establishing the rights of the three levels when it comes to the information. Of course, individuals are entitled to information along with their privacy. If the information affects the people, they must be aware of it. And when it comes to our organization, we have the right to monitor the company's resources. And the employees directly using those assets should be properly oriented and informed that they are being monitored to keep their personal privacy protected. Next is the property rights and obligation. This deals with the intellectual property issue since everything is accessible in the internet and can be used without providing the credits and references. And treating and tracing is difficult where people use different names and identity in the internet as well. The accountability and control. This primarily deals with issues of liability for unintentional consequences of system use. Next is the system quality, deals with the negative social consequences. Although information system can be advantageous for an organization, such as boosting productivity, ethical norms should be upheld, such as not to compromise someone's privacy or abusing computers to commit unethical conduct. When using information system, social, political, and individual variables should be taken into account. What are the key technology trends that raise ethical issues? Ethical issues long preceded information technology. Nevertheless, information technology has heightened ethical concerns, taxed existing social arrangement, and made some laws obsolete or severely crippled. Information technologies and systems have also created new opportunities for criminal behavior and mischief. Like, for example, this invasive software is one of the major technological advancements currently raising moral concerns in our culture. Like the creators of such programs have the access to users' computer and extract data from it. The user is never offered the option to decline the software before the information is even collected. So the ethics in an information society. Ethics is concern of human who have freedom of choice. Ethics is about individual choice. When faced with alternative courses of action, what is the correct moral choice? What are the main features of ethical choice? So decisions are being made by the individuals when faced with alternative choices to choose from. So there is where the ethical choices should resurface, and then decisions are made by those individuals who are responsible for the consequences of their actions. So the basic concept of responsibility, accountability, and liability. Responsibility compares to accountability is task-oriented. Every member could be in charge of a certain task and must be finished in order to finish a project, wherein accountability happens after the situation has occurred. It is how you respond and take ownership over the results. For example, in our team, my members are responsible to accomplish their specific tasks. And if something happens, or if with problem related issues, I am accountable. Despite the fact that I'm not the one directly doing the task, I'm still accountable for their actions since the management would insist that it is my line of work and I should have exercised everything I can to solve the problem within our level. So liability here permits the individual and firms to recover damages done to them. And the due process pertains to laws and the ability to appeal hire authorities for assistance to acquire that liability. So the basic ones. In short, this slide only talks about the information system are not faulty in nature and have impacts by themselves only. The impacts of those systems are created by those who use them or what for whatever purpose. Responsibility will fall under those who use the system and will be held accountable for the consequences of their actions. And in the political society, individuals have the privilege to recover the damages done to them under the due process. So, when it comes to ethical analysis, there are factors that must be taken into account, whether it's about decision or coming up to a solution to a problem. Facts of the case or details must be identified as the primary basis of your task to be solved, like find out who did what to whom and where and when and how the action is done. Next, to identify the dilemma or your problem, the conflicts, to be able to come up with alternative solutions. Next is identify the stakeholders or those who might be affected by your actions or decisions, and formulate a various solution that can satisfy the interests of those involved. Lastly, you must also be able to identify the potential risk or consequences of those solution that you have formulated to better judge which is which is appropriate to be used as a solution. So here are the candidate ethical principles. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. This is the golden rule. Second is, if an action is not right for everyone to take, it is not right for anyone. By Immanuel Kant's categorical imperative. Third is, if an action cannot be taken repeatedly, it is not right to take it based on the first rule of change. Next is, take the action that achieves the higher or greater value based on the utilitarian principle. Fifth is, take the action that produces the least harm or the least potential cost based on risk aversion principle. And the last one is, assume that virtually tangible and tangible objects are owned by someone unless there is specific declaration. Uh, for the traditional codes of conduct, only talks about the different professions have different set of code of conduct as rules outlining the norms, rules, and responsibilities or proper practice of an individual or party or organization based on the profession. And these are the some real-world ethical dilemmas. Like information have created new ethical dilemmas in which one set of interests is pitted against another. For example, many of the large telephone companies in the United States are using information technology to reduce the sizes of their workforces. Next is voice recognition software reduces the need for human operators by enabling the computer to recognize a customer's response to a series of computerized questions. And many companies monitor what their employees are doing on the internet to prevent them from wasting companies' resources on non-business activities. And in real life experience in a certain company, managers are quantifying the outputs of their members sent over the internet since they are copied in it regardless if it is sent internal or for external consumers. So I think instead of they are doing the manual quantifying instead of assigning values to the output, since outputs made by the employees differs based on the complexity of the task. Thank you for listening. That is part one, and the part two will be discussed by Miss Eliza Mitchell.
Wait lang.